Alright, now I'm going to teach you how to solve rational expressions. Okay, you know when you're solving, you're looking to see what x is equal to. Okay, to be able to solve rational expressions, there's a few different ways, but one way that I like to do it is if I can somehow get a fraction on one side and a fraction on the other, like for example I don't have an addition sign here, and then and have the same thing in the denominator, then you can just say, well, set the numerator equal to each other and then solve. So for example, I have 7x, 7x, so that x has to equal 3. So for example, for this one, I have to first simplify the right side. So we have here 1 over 3x squared equals, and then I have a common denominator, so I can just bring that over, x squared, and then so combine my like terms. So 1 minus 12, so you have 2x, and then 1 minus 12 is negative 11. And now, before I can set the numerators equal to each other, I notice that I don't have the same thing in the denominator, but I'm missing a 3 multiplied by 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3 in the denominator, and I can do that as long as if I do the same thing in the numerator. So I have 1 over 3x squared equals, and then you have, let's distribute this, so 3 times 2x is 6x, and then 3 times negative 11 is negative 33 over 3x squared. Now that I have the same thing in the denominators, you can just take them away. So you have 1 equals 6x minus 33, and then just solve from there. So you're going to add 33 on both sides. So you have 34 equals 6x, divide by 6, divide by 6. So you have x equals 34 over 6, which it doesn't go through it evenly, right? So that is my answer. Just leave it as 34 over 6. Actually, we can reduce that 34. Let's find my common factor in this. So I know there's a number that goes into 34 and 6, which is 2. So 2 goes into 34 17 times, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So this is my final answer. I did want to show you how you can check this answer using Desmos calculator. Okay, so we're going to bring up our Desmos calculator, and then what you can do to check this answer in your calculator is, remember that if you move everything over to one side, so for example I'm going to move this 1 over 3x over to the right side because that's a lot easier. There's only one thing to move over. And so to move it over, I just subtract it out. Subtract 1 over 3x squared on both sides. Subtract 1 over 3x squared on both sides. So you have 0 on one side, and then you have all of this on the other side. And that's what I'm going to graph in here. So I'm going to do 1 over x squared plus, and I'm literally just typing it up. So you have 2x minus 12 over, I want this whole thing over here. 2x minus 12, let me take all this out, over x squared. And then to subtract whatever I had on this side, remember I took it over, and then so subtract that out, so 1 over 3x squared. Okay, and then now once you do this, you're gonna just look for your where does it cross the x-axis. Okay, it looks like it doesn't really cross the x-axis here on the left side if you keep going, and we're going to talk about that. What do you call this when it doesn't cross it? It just seems like it's getting closer and closer to, but it's not really crossing it. But then when I look over here on the right side, I do see is it crossing here, and it looks like it's crossing it here at 5.667. And if you remember our answer, which was 7 over 13 in the calculator, 7 divided by 13, 7 divided by 3 is the same thing as my x-intercept here. Okay, so that's another way you can find your answers, is if you put everything on one side of the equal sign and then just graph it. That's a good way to find your answer as well. Let me try that with number 2. So I'm looking for my answer. So I'm going to go into Desmos and I'm going to plug this entire expression in. But before I do that, I have to take this over. I have to take negative 1 over 3n squared over to the other side of my equal sign. I don't know why I'm writing so messy. Okay, so on the right side I have 0. And then on the left side I have all of this, which I'm going to plug into my calculator. So you have 1 over n, don't use n, use x in Desmos. I know it's talking about the x and y coordinate. 1 over x squared minus, and then you have all of this, 1 over 3x squared. Okay? And then we're looking for the x-intercept, which is at negative 0.667. So like, what is that as a fraction? It's negative 0.66. Math, turn into a fraction. No, doesn't really do it. Well, if you have it in your answer choice, then you have to, go through and convert them into decimals. All right, let me try this one by hand, see if it works out. I don't like having decimal answers. Not that they're wrong, it's just not the exact answer. So for this one, remember that we're going to combine one side. So to be able to combine this, I need a common denominator. I have n squared and then I have n. So if I multiply top and bottom by n, so 1 times n is n over n times n is n squared plus 1 over n squared equals 1 over 3n squared. N plus 1 is just n plus 1 in the numerator, and then you have n squared equals 1 over 3n squared. And then the only thing missing here is the 3, so I'm going to multiply numerator and denominator by 3 distributed. So you have 3n plus 3 over 3n squared equals 1 over 3n squared. Now that you have the same thing in the denominator, so you can set the numerator equal to each other. Negative 2 over 3. Look at that. Let me check it in my calculator. So the answer that I got was negative 2 over 3, which was this. So let me check it. Minus 2 over 3. It looks like it's the same thing. So yeah, it's the same answer. Okay? All right. Let me know if you have any questions.